So how's it going, guys? So I decided that I try to throw together a little video on the stoves that I have and which one I decided to take on this camping trip that's coming up pretty, I say soon, it's going to be the summer in June. So it may have sounded like I had a whole bunch of stoves to choose from, but it's not really the case. I'm counting those little, the water bottle stove that I showed you with the little thing that sits on the bottom. And I have another wood burning stove that I'll show you, and I have 3 stoves that run off of some type of fuel. And I will get ready to show you them now, and we'll go over them one by one. And the first one, this is the Msr Pocket Rocket. It's a really simple stove, fits in this nice little container here. Comes right out of there just like that. So these little stands just pop open like that. So you can set your cup on top of there to boil water or what have you. And you basically just take this and a can of isobutane, and you just thread it onto the thread the stove onto the isobutane bottle like that. And it's got a knob here to turn the gas flow on and off. Like I was mentioning earlier, one of the stoves is in this kit right here. So you actually have a cup right here. I'll go ahead and use this cup when I start using these stoves with some water. And this part in the bottom is actually a stove, if I can get it out of there. So this is actually a stove. As you can see, it's still got the paper on it. I've never used it. So what you do is you set this up, and it's got vents on the back, and you build a small fire under here with twigs and some kind of tinder, whatever, and you feed it, you know, the fuel is the wood that you can shove in it. And you set your cup on top there, and you can boil your water and go to town. So that's one of the stoves that I haven't used. I haven't used this at all, but I have it just in case. Let me just move the camera down over here a little bit so you can see it. So here's the Msr Pocket Rocket. And I do have a ferro rod in here. I could demonstrate lighting it with this. And the striker as well. If you prefer that, I'll just do that way first. So you turn the fuel on. So the gas is on. It's lit. I don't know if you can see the flame. It's burning. The flame is burning. Hold something black against the back of it. Can you see that flame? A little blue flame? Okay, and you can adjust this. Now let's see if you can hear this. Yeah, that thing gets hot. Okay. So you set your cup on top of there of water. Put your cup of water on top of there. And there you go. You boil your water for your freeze-dried meals or whatever it is you might be cooking. So that's the Msr Pocket Rocket. And that's a good stove. Don't get me wrong. It's a good stove. I like it. It's compact, and it does what it needs to do, and it does it well. But that's not the one I'm taking on the trip with me. Because you take this Pocket Rocket, it's small, but you also have to take a can of fuel. And depending on how long you're gone, you might have to take more than one. But that Pocket Rocket fits right inside a little plastic. It's still a little warm. Plastic container here. The lid goes on it. Small form factor, nice and easy to pack away. Another stove I have is also made by the same company. Let's see if I can get it organized here. And it's an MSR stove. This is the WhisperLite, and I have all the documentation with this. I've had this for a while. So they make one that'll run off of isobutane and I think gasoline or whatever kind of fuel you can put in it. I believe it will work. So this needs to be cleaned. It's a little dirty, but I'll show you what comes in it. That's the fuel bottle. I've already got the pump and the everything in here already. But as you can see, this stove is well loved. And how you would use this is you take these legs here and you kind of move them all around, and they lock in these little notches. So you got 3 of them set up there, and you got this too. You can set this underneath the stove if you're worried about catching something on fire. Like that right there. And this fuel bottle actually connects right here. Okay, snaps in on this side, so you still have room to turn that. So the idea is to pump this up, get some pressure in the fuel bottle. Okay, and then you slowly open this valve. There's a small bowl down there. I don't know if you can see that, but what you do is you turn this until you get a little bit of fuel in there. I can hear it coming in. There it goes. You get a little fuel, and you light that. So what happens is it'll burn all that off, okay? And let me get a pointer. So this tube right here that runs up through here, this loop, is actually where how the fuel is getting into the burner down there. And what's happening is it's going to heat that fuel up and vaporize it. So you just let it cook like this. I may have got too much fuel down there. It'll eventually start to burn out. And then this will start looking like an old gas stove once all that fuel is burnt out. So we'll just let that go, and I'll speed this section of the video up so you can see how it works. I turned it up a little too high there, as you can see. So I don't know if you can see that now. It's starting to settle down, and you can see the blue flame around it now. I'm hoping you can see that. And once this fuel gets heated up enough to where it's vaporized, you can turn this up. And as you can see, you got a nice, I hope you can see that. You can see the blue flames there. This is another good stove, but it's a little touchy, and it's a pain in the ass. You got all this extra stuff you have to take with you. But it's not that bad. It cooks. It's got a wider heating platform than this does. So a lot of people complain that this just heats up one spot. So if you're trying to cook with a skillet over the MSR PocketRocket, you'd have one spot that got hot and the rest of it wouldn't. This is a little bit wider, so it'll heat up a skillet or something a little bit better. And you just shut the fuel off when you're done, and it'll die out eventually. Good stove. I've had it a long time. As you can see, it still functions properly. Needs cleaning, but it does work. Now, like I said, they do make a version of this, a run off of this liquid Coleman type fuel, as well as isobutane. And I think they make one that'll run off of gasoline or any kind of fuel you put in it. And this right here, I'm going to let that cool off while I talk about this. Anytime you're using a stove like that, you got wind that's going to concern you. That's all this is. This is a big windscreen that you can set up, and you can connect it together. It's got, you can wrap it around your stove. And right here on the sides, it has these little levers you can pull out, so you can push that out and it'll anchor it into the ground so it doesn't blow over. But that's another nice to have item when you're camping, something to keep the wind from blowing your stove over. You put that over there to cool off. Now this right here is a wood burning only stove. Okay, so this is just a straight up small little wood burning stove. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass to get together. See if I can do it here. Last time I put this together, I haven't used it, but it cut myself all to pieces. There's your stove, and this is you feed it with sticks put in there. You put sticks in there to make your fire, and this right here sits on this like that, and that's where you would put your cup, and you just keep cramming sticks in there to get your fire going. I don't have any sticks. I'm not going to build a fire in here, so that's that. You just got to be careful. This thing is really sharp. All right, so that's another stove, but I'm not taking this one with me either. Now, the stove that I decided to take is right here. This is a Swedish Army Mess Kit. They make these in different flavors. This one's a stainless steel version. They make an aluminum version, which I don't like. It's a lot lighter. And I can't remember the exact year, but I'll put information in the description as to when they started doing stainless steel. Basically, during the war, the World War II, aluminum was needed for the war effort, so they started using stainless steel. And I'll just go ahead and pull this out. Okay, so this is the mess kit right here. It's got this top lid. Let me get it off. It's tight. Okay. So this is another pot that comes off. Inside here you have a cup. You have the fuel. You have a Trangia stove, and I put a big lighter in there. How this works is, you can cook in this, or you can boil water in this. And what you do, basically, move all this stuff out of the way. So this is like a windscreen too, as well. And if you look, I don't know if you can see it. So it has the 3 crowns right there. That's an indicator that it's authentic. And the number there, I believe, is the date. So this would be from 1966, as you can see right there. I don't know if you can see it. 1966, and the 3 crowns for Sweden. And inside, you see there's these little metal things right here. So you flip one up like that, and you flip the other one up in there, and that is where your pots will sit. So if I were to put this in here to cook, as you can see, it only sits so far. So I sit over the flame. And this transient stove actually sits underneath it. And how a transient stove works, I don't remember if there's any fuel in there or not. So you take your bottle of fuel or methylated spirits, whatever you use, and you pour it in there just a little bit. You don't need much for this demonstration. And inside here there's a hole. I don't know, you can't see that hole. Down in the bottom, and there's like a cotton type of, I guess, wicking material around. It absorbs that fuel. And then what you would do is you would just light it. There goes this lid inside. It'll eventually, just like the other stoves I showed you, right around here you'll start to see the flames coming out of the pinholes. Sort of like you make these stoves out of beer cans or whatever, soda cans. That's what that is. And this plastic cup is actually part of this kit, believe it or not. And this lid right here, they call it a simmer lid. And you can just use this to make the flame lower, and you can also snuff it out. You should snuff it out, the flame out, with this instead of the lid for the stove, because inside here there's a rubber O-ring that probably needs to be replaced that keeps the stove from leaking. Alright, so as you can see, this has one speed right there. I don't know if you can see that. I'll move the camera in closer, but you can see the flame there, and it'll get better as time goes on. As it starts to heat up and it starts to pull the flames through those little pinholes, it'll become better. And so once that gets done, you set this right on top of it, like that, to keep the wind off of it. And you would use this pot right here if you were going to boil. I think this holds 1.5 liters of water, and the little one holds 3/4 of a liter. So either one. And so the way this is set up, you see there's 2 indentations up here on this bail handle. For this one right here, I could also hang this over a fire if I needed to. And if I slide it here, I can hook that through that little lip right there like that, see? And while it's on the stove, I can pick it up like this. So I'd set that right there to boil my water. And when the water got hot, I could pick it up like this and pour my water out if I needed to. If I were using this to cook, as you can see, there's these 2 D-ring handles right here. And that is so when it's cooking, I can use a stick to put through there to get this off the fire. It's a really ingenious system for cooking. I mean, it's a typical transient stove, and it does the job. It cooks fine. I like this kit a lot. It's got your cook set, it's got your cup, it's got your fuel, and I could probably throw a sponge and some camp suds in there to boot to keep this all going. But this is the kit that I'm going to be taking with me camping. Is the Swedish Army Mess Kit. Now, granted, we're going to have a fire going, and you know, we'll be able to cook over the fire. And I have a Grilliput. I don't think I have that handy. Okay, so the stove going with me is going to be the Swedish Army Mess Kit. I'll probably take this just because I don't know how one it's going to be. It's always nice to have, and this takes up no room. And of course, the water bottle and the cup kit, so for coffee or whatever. And I'm taking this idea right here. This is called the Grilliput, and it's got a little weight to it, but it's kind of an interesting gizmo here. Okay, so you have these pieces here. You separate. You got these ones with the hook on the end. There's 2 of those. These go on the end. Is that on your frame? And then you got all these other pieces, cross members, and you got these thicker ones, which are the legs. And you start off with this little bit right here, and you would take this one with the hook on it, and you would slide it through. I don't know if I can do it right. This, okay, and you would start to thread it in right here. Okay, I wouldn't do it all the way. Then you come on the other side, and you start this one the same way. Okay, there we go. So you can see this holds it on, and the threads hold it on the other side. And then on this one, you actually just slide those in, and they drop right in these little slots. Okay, so now I got those bits in. I can just tighten these up. It's going to tighten all these up so they can't come out these little slots over here. Okay, so that's tight. That one's tight. So as you can see, this is a nice tight grill now. I mean, it's got some good structural integrity. And then you take these legs and you screw them into the bottom here. See where this is going? So there you go. Then you got your grill. And you can set this over a little fire, or you can take coals from the fire and put it under there, and you can cook whatever you want right there on the grill. And you take it apart. It fits into all in one little tube like you saw earlier. This is pretty handy to take with you. I look forward to using this, honestly, as much as I want to use that Swedish Army Mess Kit as well. But the Swedish Army Mess Kit, I'm a big proponent of military surplus gear, and it's probably because that's what I know. I grew up an Army brat. I was in the military for 20 years, and you start to learn how certain things just work. You know, if I had to hike a long distance, if I were doing like the PCT or the AT, I would definitely want something a lot lighter, but I'm not. You know, the truth is I'm just not hiking that far. Then I ain't worried about something being ultra lightweight. So you take all these out, you take that out. Then you can take these in, clean them with water. These are a lot easier to clean if you take them out individually like this. Take all your pieces, put them inside your tube. Everything fits together nice and neat, and that's an entire grill set right there, ready to rock and roll. Alright, this is turned into a longer video than I wanted, but there you go. This is my setup. I'm going to take the Swedish Army Mess Kit, the windscreen, and the Grilliput on the camping trip. And that's going to be my, basically my kitchen, but I'm also going to take, you know, the Pathfinder water bottle and cup as well. Alright guys, have a good one, and maybe I'll have another video out this week later on. So hey guys, if you like that video and this content is something you're having interest in, or you want to know more information about this KLR 650 or modifications you can do to it, or what I've done to it, or anyway, if you made it to the end of this video, I really appreciate you watching it. And if you enjoyed it, click that thumbs up button down below and click that little bell down there so you know when I upload more videos. As always, be safe out there, and I'll talk to y'all again soon.